Our next guest connects students with companies to gain hands-on experience before entering the workforce. That would have been nice. Yeah, his name is Jordan Levy, and he's the founder of CapSource Education. Welcome, Jordan.
Thank you for having me, guys.
To the show. How did the idea for CapSource come about?
Well, believe it or not, it actually all started when I was a student. I was kind of getting towards the end of my academic career and transitioning like everyone else, and realized I actually had no clue what I wanted to do.
Yeah, join the club, right?
Yeah, I mean, and I kind of like was bewildered to the point where I started asking questions of my faculty, like, hey, like, why weren't we kind of given more opportunities to get out there? And
they don't know anything about the real world. It's the ivory tower. College professors are isolated from the real world.
It's true. It's true. And I think, I think the academic world is transitioning kind of as we speak from a world that used to serve as, the center for knowledge and the perpetual nature of that knowledge. And obviously with the internet, we don't really need that. We don't need academia to serve that purpose anymore, but it really functions well as like a training grounds for, young professionals entering the workplace. And so the really big issue that we noticed was that there's no way to buy it off the shelf. There's publishers with, content and simulations, but there's not experience that you could buy off the shelf. And so we decided to try and figure out how to package real experience into something that faculty can easily integrate into the learning experience for students.
See, I hear this a lot, that every college supposedly has a career center. They're okay with looking over your resume and see, okay, are there any typos? Line spacing, perfect, whatever. But they're not really good at giving you, quote unquote, real world experience. Is there anything, realistically, can they do better? Because, I applaud what you're doing, but that's the other piece of puzzle. If they can get help on the spot and they have somebody like you, that would be a win-win for everybody.
It's true, and I think the schools are actually trying to transition. I think it's a little tough with the environment. Change is very slow to be made, but it's actually, we're seeing experiential learning being used across institutions, especially domestically and actually abroad. A lot of schools have been doing this for the last few centuries. So this is something that's growing. Career services centers were never intended to educate students, and the big issue is we're educating wrong. And so our approach is to actually change the curriculum by integrating companies into that process. And so we do it through projects, so students get a chance to collaborate with each other and with real professionals working on, something that's actually going to generate real outcomes for those organizations.
So the school buys your curriculum basically, or your program. How does it work in practice?
Yeah, so in practice, we approach schools, typically business programs. We're now branching into engineering, computer science, physics, and other types of more scientific engineering programs. But we approach schools and try to identify parts of the school that are interested in training their students for the 21st century economy and the future of work. And basically, we actually provide a service that matches their goals from a teaching perspective with companies that have projects that are similar.
Got it. So you're the bridge. Yeah. You're legitimately the bridge, yeah.
That's the hope. So we ultimately hope to deliver software to schools. We actually just launched our Connect platform, which essentially enables schools themselves to coordinate these programs. We really want experiential learning to be scalable, and so part of that is being very communicative with the companies that are getting involved, making sure that they understand the timeline, what's expected of them, what outcomes they're hoping to generate with the students. And so by laying all that out, it's easier to kind of scale these programs. And so what one person can do by themselves with the CapSource Connect platform, hopefully they can coordinate dozens, if not hundreds of projects for their students.
Or the organizations or the companies that you work with, what do they get? What do they get from you guys versus, they have their own internship programs that they can just, go on campus and say, oh, I need like 5 people doing this.
It's actually funny because I think most internship programs are completely run poorly because they're not really invested time and energy into really structuring it so that the students are given a chance to learn about the organization and show what their skills are.
No, they're making copies, getting coffee, and it's not even with companies that they're really interested in.
Right.
It just happens to be an alumni connection most of the time.
Yeah. So our experiential learning framework is all about integrating company leaders into the education process, but in a very digestible, easy way. So we're not asking for these managers to spend an entire week teaching the students, but really an hour or two interfacing, going through a project. So the students have time, they understand what's required of them milestone by milestone, and they can begin thinking about and delivering those outcomes and then getting feedback along the way so that ultimately when they do get a chance to speak to their managers at the company, they actually can have a really productive conversation and walk away with reference-worthy experience. Hey, I actually put together a marketing strategy for this startup, or we came up with a supply chain quality control system.
Yeah, that's a little bit more of real world experience. Yeah.
See, the way I see it is I know a lot of interns end up getting coffees, and sometimes, unfortunately, that's all they do throughout the year or the summer, 3-month summer program. And the reason why that happens is, well, one, or most importantly, people don't have time. It's not like I don't take you seriously. It's not like I don't welcome you to be on site or whatnot. It's just, the person who is supposed to be managing and making decision or doing the, real work don't have time to explain everything. How is that different from your program? Because you cannot make time for them.
Yeah, so my background is actually in case theory. And so obviously case theory, like kind of the Harvard business case model, so to speak, that whole methodology is about taking kind of anecdotal problems and studying them. My version is a real world version of that. So we kind of combine case theory with consulting theory, and we give students enough structure where they can kind of...
Do you come from the consulting world?
I actually don't come from the consulting world. We just, so
they tried to push that on us. I have a master's in public policy, and everyone had to read those case theory stories.
Harvard, yep.
Yeah.
I mean,
we're like half of the world's consultants come from where I studied.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I think cases have a great place in pedagogy. The only issue is like to ask students, hey, don't think about what happened to, Microsoft after 2009. We need to study them before that. I think that's underappreciating what's really going on in today's world. And so, students really only understand the perspective that they have. And so by giving them a real case with an actual context that's today, they can actually solve the problems and think about those problems within the confines of reality.
Cool. Well, Jordan, thank you for taking the time to talk to us.
Cool.
Explaining everything.
Yes, I appreciate it. I look forward to more opportunities, and thank you guys so much. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you.
Of course.